So Drake ties with Michael Jackson at 13 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Michael Jackson achieved this record back in 1995. So it's so funny. It's almost close to 30 years ago that this record was achieved and has been broken 27, 28 years later by, Drake. So he's like in 4th place as far as with most #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. With the Beatles are still #1 with 20 hits. Mariah Carey, she comes in with 19. I think because of All I Want for Christmas Is You hitting #1 many years after it was released in 94. And I think she did that. It hit #1 in 2020 or 2021. And then Rihanna, because Rihanna has 14 #1s. And then now Drake and Michael Jackson tying for that fourth place. And this is because, his single First Person Shooter from the For All the Dogs album hitting #1, and it featured J. Cole, and this is also J. Cole's first #1 Hot 100 #1, which I had read that on. I think I read that on an article, and I was kind of surprised that with J. Cole, but I gotta look that up and see, because I thought he had already had a #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, but with Drake also has 13 #1 albums on the Billboard 200 albums chart, which is ridiculous, like amazing for his career. Like Drake is just, he's one of the best selling artists of all time, because he's sold somewhere about over 170 million albums worldwide. So he's definitely one of the best selling. And he's on the top of the top of the list as far as that record goes. And with helping J. Cole get his first Hot 100 #1, he also helped Future score his first Hot 100 #1 back in, I think, 2018 or so. And for Drake himself, when he got his first 2 #1 singles, they were with Rihanna. So I think he was, featured with on Rihanna's tracks, and one of them being Work. Work was big. That was a big song, and so that hit #1, and Drake was on it. So that's really cool for him, and I'm like, wow. And then also in 2018, he had 3 #1s in 1 year. So Drake has he's made his way throughout his career, now tying with Michael Jackson with this album For All the Dogs. And it seemed like a lot of people, the comments are kind of like, oh, how could this be? Because this is Michael Jackson and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I think, times are going to, obviously, as we can see and as we, all know, time is going to continue on. Things are going to change in the industry, sales and different mediums. I think with, throughout the course of the music industry, starting with phono records, starting with, all those different mediums, going into the vinyls and then cassette tapes and then CDs, and now, fast forward to downloading and now streaming. Streaming is where I think a lot of people have issues with it, because they're looking at it like, oh, well, streaming is not the same as, selling vinyls and CDs like Michael Jackson, did. Because at that time of Michael achieving a lot of those accomplishments, which are not easy at all by far to achieve, selling CDs and vinyls, and then there was no social media. You had to really rely on the machine, you know what I'm saying? On radio, on video. And remember, Michael was very instrumental in transitioning the whole video world and turning video into a whole other means to, get people tuned into your music. So Michael was very instrumental in that. And I think fast forward all the way to Drake's, this time, and with Drake, now with streaming, it's more so like, you just have to have, which is pretty hard, but you just have to have 1,500 songs, streams, not songs, 1,500 streams to be equivalent to one album sale. or 10 songs have to be downloaded from an album to be considered one album sale. And so for Drake, you know, he's had well over 400,000 units, where they're saying most of it, 391,000 of those units, were mostly attributed to streaming. And you know, when you look at it today, you know, while CDs are still there and vinyls are still there, you know, thankfully, and you still have your mom and pop stores here and there, everybody has a phone. Everybody's got either Spotify or iTunes or, you know, Apple Music, whatever it is, and that's where they're hearing the music and they're listening to the music. So this is the new form of what it is. And so that's why you have like Billboard, you know, happening to have to make changes to adjust to the times, because people are not buying CDs, not buying vinyls, or definitely not cassette tapes like they were, you know, 30 years ago or so. But like I said, I feel Drake, you know, he's achieved this record. You know, I'm happy for him. You know, it's not easy still, even though things have changed, it's still not easy to even achieve this level of success. So, you know, that's really cool. Really happy for him, and it's really great. Let's see if he makes 14 number ones.